Alright, everybody, so I had been kind of sick this past couple of days, and that's why I haven't uploaded a video. I'm still feeling like shit, so if it comes out like I'm not paying attention or anything like that, it's because, I am sick still. Alright, so we have a couple of videos to get through. This first one is called And More, and the second one's called A Lot. So we're gonna have to get through these. I'm gonna try to get all these out, and then at the end of these videos, at the end of them, I'm gonna do like an assessment, sort of putting my thoughts into it and what I felt throughout the entire thing. So keep a lookout for that. So it's gonna be a while before I get through all of this, and Jesus Christ, there's a lot to go through. Most people have already stopped giving a shit, and which is fine. It's completely understandable, but not many people want to give him views. I don't understand why people would give him views, but that's just my thoughts. So let's go to this one. We have a lot to get through, and let's get this going.
Okay, here we are, part 500 million of this whole thing. This is the intense stuff, the controversial part. And there was an NDA that was signed, but apparently it doesn't matter that the NDA was signed because when we made that agreement, I guess the other person didn't mean it. So I'm going to go ahead.
No. When you make an NDA, you get it legalized and you get it notarized. That way that they become legal and you can use that. Which is why people are upset with you on these NDAs, idiot.
Didn't have to go into the beyond to tell the full story, since otherwise it's like my hands are basically just bound and I can't defend myself, which is it's not exactly what most people would call fair. One person being able to speak and the other person not being able to speak. Anyway, so the whole Sarah thing, she was rejected repeatedly, which I thought was very mean and very insensitive how many times she was rejected. But when she did initially go up and kiss Kai, and Kai was freaked out by it, she immediately came downstairs and hugged me. And I was like so indifferent to the whole thing as far as my emotions, like as far as how motivated I felt to be a part of it, because I didn't feel like attraction to her. I was more so interested in the idea of Sarah fulfilling this giant hole in Kai's life. And you could say, well, couldn't they just be friends? That's a really good point. But that's not what I think Sarah wanted, because she did push to kiss Kai. She did actually plant one on Kai, and then said when she actually did kiss Kai, and it was really weird. Anyway, so she came downstairs. I was on a circular chair. You see in some of my old videos, we got rid of it since, but she came down and she just laid hugging me, and I was like, what? I guess good job then, or whatever, because I was just really, it kind of felt like I was, and this is condescending and doesn't really line up, but I felt like I was dealing with a drama that was beneath me. With the whole Sarah trying to kiss Kai thing, I just thought it was so stupid. Because that's not the type of relationship that I'm like, if you want to kiss somebody, you just kiss somebody. You don't make a big deal out of it for her and Kai in that situation. Anyway, so the first kiss that they ever had was probably around November and December. I say probably because it might have been later, not earlier. And then they had this discussion between them via text that was like, maybe Kai could trust Sarah to potentially one day be in a relationship, maybe not. And again, Sarah was 18 and a half when this happened, this conversation. And then it
God, you sound like a fucking child when you say that and a half.
Kind of fell apart, and then it kind of got pieced back together, and then...
No. She was only a few weeks after she had turned 18. A few weeks does not equal a half.
And I said, hey, Sarah, you know, we should probably do an NDA. So like, if we ever have a
So wait a minute. The last video that you said she pressured you to have an NDA signed. Now in this one, you're saying that you wanted her to sign one. So which is it?
falling out or anything, then we won't go around trashing each other, and we'll just be civil and adults about it. Whatever happens, because Sarah had now planted a kiss on Kai, and from previous situations that I'd been in, I just didn't want to hate that person. I didn't want to have, you know, legal beef or any beef with them. You know, like slanderous is what I mean by legal. And so Sarah said,
By the way, telling someone that they're an asshole isn't slander.
and I quote, "Only if I get what I want." And we were all in bed when she said that. Not naked or anything like that. Like, we were all clothed and everything was fine. I think we had just finished like wrestling, like actual WWE playing around wrestling. Like, I was like, let's wrestle. And we were like,
You are such a fucking child, dude.
like, you know, headlock, and the goal was to have Kai and Sarah defeat me 2v1, but they didn't. They sucked. Sarah's pretty strong, but they weren't good enough because obviously I'm bigger. So people think I'm 5'7". I'm actually 5 taller.
No, you're not. You are really short. Repsion is 5'10", and he's taller than you.
5'900". No, I'm anyway, 5'11".
No, you're not. You are not 5'11".
I'm 5'11" and 3/4 or 2/4, whatever.
See, you can't even keep your own lies straight on your height. See, if you have to lie about your height, like, what else can you lie about? Seriously.
But yeah, so we wrestled, and then I said, no, but seriously, we should do an NDA. And she said, only if I get what I want. And everyone knew she meant SEX. Everyone there. It was so obvious she meant SEX.
How did that equal that? How does that equal in your mind?
I think Kai and her had kissed again since then. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure. They had
Also, please stop copywriting my videos, asshole.
implied a relationship through those texts, I think in early January, just because Sarah had...
What about the text that you and your spouse had about taking her virginity at a young age? But you're not going to talk about that, are you?
shown some serious... We believed in her, and we thought that she would be like the most kind and considerate and compassionate. She said that she was a second mom to toddlers that exist in our life. So we thought that she cared about them. We thought that she was just this adult who, you know, might be a contribution and awesome. And maybe this is, we were just not even, the person was there and we didn't even see her. And the reason we didn't see her is because we didn't consider her an option at all. Like the last Christmas, I think it was the last Christmas. Oh my God. I don't know. I think it was actually the most recent Christmas. I made a joke about her dating someone else, like her own age, and she got so mad at me. And I was like, you should date that person. Because, you know, we were kind of like not into her. And she got so angry at us for me even implying that. And so that was a clear indication that she...
So basically all he's doing here is victim blaming and saying it's all their fault and he didn't want to have anything to do with her, which is complete bullshit. We all know that. We've seen the texts.
She was, you know, not about it. Anyway, so we had wrestled. We had, you know, gotten to that point where there was a vibe and we felt like something might happen someday. I don't know. But then Sarah said that she would only sign an NDA if she got what she wanted. And unfortunately, a few months prior, she joked about being able to destroy our lives if she wanted to.
That's... Nah. Hell nah. That's not how anything works, dude.
And that's sad, but I didn't take it seriously. I took it as a joke back then. I think she was like 18 in a few months. She's like, you know, if I wanted to, I could destroy your lives. And
many of you kind of understand, I don't take anything Greg says seriously for two reasons. One, he thinks everything is a joke, and two, he only is now talking about this after several months after everything came out, and he's basically putting all the blame onto everybody else and blaming on their mental disorders and everything else, which sucks because you know this is coming from a guy who didn't want them to be on medication, which that's been proven. He even said before in another video that he didn't want anybody on mind-altering medication and that he would take care of it as a couple, which is kind of a shitty thing to do, to be honest. If you're on medication, you need to take it. That's just how it is. Especially if it's to help your imbalances, if there is any, that you need to do that. So, what Greg fails to understand is he doesn't understand it at all.
I was just like, ha ha ha. But that kind of got the gears spinning in my head, like maybe I should have this person sign an NDA because I don't want them going around saying horrible things. Even if, if they're untrue, you could still take legal action because of the NDA. If they were true, I just didn't know what she would be talking about. It was like that booty though, that comment. But I didn't want her going around saying, oh, that booty though, or anything like that. So, yeah. But as I've reiterated repeatedly, nothing inappropriate happens, I guess, outside that booty dough comments prior to her turning 18 and a half. She planted that.
The half is not important. What it sounds like is you sound like a child who says, well, they were 18 and a half, or it doesn't matter what their half age is. They were still underage, asshole. That's the whole point of this.
Kiss on Kai, and there wasn't anything else. I hadn't done anything. Kai hadn't done anything. But once she said, I'm only going to sign this NDA if you sleep with me, was the clear message there.
Whoa. First of all, you said that if I get what I want. Now you're saying, oh, if they sleep with you. Then why even have that? Because an NDA only works to get people to stop talking about stuff that's in your house, basically stopping you from talking about another person. A non-disclosure agreement, which is an NDA, and a minor can't sign one, and at least not without parental guidance or without parental provision. And an NDA that can only be signed by a legal NDA can only be done through whether if they have something that is relevant, or if they have like a hold on, I'll put it up on Google after this video, but we'll see.
We felt pressured, like we had no choice.
Bullshit.
Because I had remembered that comment prior of her saying she could ruin my life if she wanted to. So we slept with her. I slept with her, and she performed oral on Kai. Kai, can't say was 100% on board. I was more on board than Kai.
Of course you were, because you like minors.
So, I actually slept with Sarah like 100%. On January of 2019 for the first time ever. First time I had ever been intimate with her or anything. And after that, it seemed like everything was okay.
So you're basically admitting to grooming her at this point.
It seemed like things were fine. And then I think we did our stuff together the next day as well. And I think then Sarah left. I don't remember why or anything like that. She just left. And I think she was planning to come back after that. But then I think there were some jealousy issues or something like that. And yeah, eventually we got to the point where Kai had decided that he just didn't want anything to do with Sarah in that regard and wanted to go back to a friendship status because Kai didn't want to date Sarah. Kai didn't really even want to be with Sarah ever. And that's kind of a hard thing for me to admit because I would ignore the signs. And it's really bad for me to admit that. Really, really bad. But, you know, when you do something that's not good, it's important to be honest with yourself. So Sarah wanted to be with Kai. I wanted to be with Kai. Sarah wanted to be with me. I was fine with being with Sarah at 18 and a half. I didn't see the problem with it. If you can...
It wasn't and a half. That would be 6 months after she turned 18. Apparently you don't know the difference in time, apparently.
Die for your country, you can sleep with someone. Anyway, but Kai, I don't think, wanted to be with Sarah. And Kai actually verbally told me that, I don't know when.
See, you keep speaking for Kai, but you won't let Kai talk about anything. It's kind of telling. It's very telling.
I think it was after the fact that he really just wanted a relationship with me and no one else. So there's a lot of guilt on Sarah and I. A lot. For what we did to Kai.
So you're not even going to talk about the fact that you had your kids in the same room with you as you guys slept together. Very creepy on your part, dude.
And later on, I wrote Kai a really mean text telling Kai that Kai was a horrible person, that Kai took Sarah's virginity, which just isn't true. Kai never did anything to Sarah other than kiss back. It's literally the only thing that Kai did was kiss back. And Sarah went down there on Kai, and Kai didn't like that either. Kai just didn't want it. And so I say it again. Kai wanted to be with me. Kai did not want to be with Sarah. I was cool with being with Sarah, and Sarah wanted to be with me, as she indicated repeatedly, but Kai was pulled into something that, and maybe that's why Kai don't want me to talk about it. Maybe. There's a hint, because Kai went through something traumatic and horrible.
Whatever. That
he never wanted. So it seems, except for that very fluky period, and I think it was the beginning of January or late December, something like that, when he was just having a mood and texted some things about maybe teasing the idea, but then just didn't want to again. And I would say that borderline makes Sarah and I very evil people.
So you're just blaming Sarah on this one. Okay,
anyway, so yeah. So that sucks for Kai.
No, it sucks for you. You don't give a shit. Which is why
I later on accused Sarah of some things, and we haven't taken legal action against her because it's such a messy topic. But to see Kai drag through the mud, it's like...
Oh, fuck you. Fuck Kai too.
Beating someone who's an obvious victim down.
Bullshit.
Down till they just want to not live.
You blow it out your ass.
So when I see Kai receiving this and all that, it's a horrifying thing for me. But Kai would not let me talk.
Whatever.
To protect his privacy, probably, to let him have his own life. But this is yeah, okay. So I'll continue the story more in depth. Sarah knows what she did, and I know what Sarah did, and I know...
You know what you did, but you're not going to admit anything.
My part in that. Let's talk to you in a minute.
Jesus Christ. See, this is why I can't take you seriously. Alright, so we got another one to go through. It's called A Lot. So we're going to hit this one and try to get through this bullshit.
There was a text circulating.
He needs to stop putting these halves on here. It makes no sense.
Where I was basically blaming everything on Kai. I was saying that Kai was terrible for how he was acting towards Sarah. And that was one of the most delusional things I've ever texted someone. Because first of all, in regards to Kai, I was mad at Kai because Kai was rejecting Sarah. And Sarah was trying so hard to be with Kai that I hurt for Sarah. I felt like Sarah was just a person whose feelings were being disregarded, and Sarah was just this damsel in distress. I have a hero complex, and
Bullshit. I mean, you have a god complex because that's what you think you are, but not a hero complex.
With Billy, I almost always took Billy's side, and with Sarah, I almost always took Sarah's side. I felt like a person who just needed to save Sarah from her sadness and whatever, and I needed to make sure that she was accepted and so forth. But there's a couple things you should know. In regards to the talk about who took whose virginity, it depends on your perspective, because Sarah had already been with someone before us.
I highly doubt that.
And that person committed a crime against her, and it.
See, I highly doubt that because you're trying to put the blame on someone else.
Had happened within a month, maybe December.
You keep saying maybe. You don't know.
Time when she wasn't around us, she was back in Michigan, as I understand. She went on a date with someone because Kai had rejected her so hard. She thought that there was no chance with Kai, so she tried to move on with someone else, and obviously that was a terrible experience. But as far as I know, Sarah hasn't tried to press charges. Sarah hasn't done anything. Instead, Sarah has entirely focused on demonizing other people.
So you're blaming Sarah for all this bullshit. Fuck you.
So it's very confusing. Very confusing. Considering someone actually...
It's actually not confusing.
...committed a crime against Sarah and you don't even know about it. Because...
But how do you know about it?
I guess actual crimes don't matter or something. I don't know.
You're a fucking moron is what you are.
Very confused about it. Anyway, so the concept of virginity just wasn't... It was ridiculous in the sense that Kai never did anything to Sarah except for a kiss back, like I said in the last video. But on top of that, the only one who actually physically slept with Sarah, other than that other person who had forced themselves.
Yeah, you don't know this, so you're making this shit up.
As Sarah told us, but again, I don't know what's true in regards to that.
Oh my God.
She just said it was some guy of dark skin. And I was just like, why don't you report it? And she didn't report it, as far as I know. Which is odd because something happened to her earlier in her life and she did report it and she did get that person in trouble. So I don't know why she didn't do it with this guy. But anyway, so she said she had lost her virginity with that, and I said, well, your virginity is something you give away, it can't be taken. And so that's when you come into
well, what?
Theories or whatever. Well, it's all about perspective, I guess. But no, I had proposed to Kai that we try to work something out with Sarah, because Kai had rejected Sarah again and again, and Sarah was hurt, and I didn't want Sarah to hurt, so I kept kind of campaigning for Sarah for things to work out. And I was like, I was with her physically, early 2019, and I wanted Kai to be on board too, because we were all there together.
So you are admitting to grooming?
Even though Kai wasn't really doing anything, except for receiving what Sarah was doing to Kai. So Kai was kind of trying to make me happy by giving Sarah a chance, but it still wasn't working. Kai really just didn't want to be with Sarah. It was a pretty aggressive thing.
So you're trying to make this all sound like Sarah's fault and that Kai was the innocent one here. What about the nudes that she sent? Which can get her in trouble. Big trouble. Can get Kai in trouble.
Kai really just ever wanted to be with Billy. Like, on a genuine level, Kai only ever really loved Billy and only ever wanted to have a relationship that was legit with Billy. There was this one person that Kai rejected, and that girl didn't handle it well.
I hate whenever he says the word rejected. God, it pisses me off.
I was a 26-year-old. Or no, she was like 22. She went to college.
You can't even get ages right, dude. Stop lying with ages. Shit.
In Canada, and she was really upset when Kai didn't want to be with her either, and I hadn't done anything to her. I hadn't been like intimate in that way. So that was kind of like a weird random thing that this girl got upset and then she left because Kai rejected her too. And it's because Kai's always been kind of obsessed with the idea of this perfect woman, and that was Billy to Kai. But Kai also has this idea that Billy never loved him, and that sucks. But maybe that was how Sarah felt, that Kai was the perfect person or something. And then you have conflicting stuff where, well, it's what I'm about to tell you. This is what conflicts with the Sarah thing and matches what she initially was said to have said from this other person.
God, you're so
this other person said that Sarah had said that she was in love with me and that she would end her life because she didn't want to be
I highly doubt that they would say something like that, dude. Come on.
On the bad side of me. She didn't want to be hated by me. She was such a huge fan, I guess. I didn't really see it because we were very rude to each other. Sarah was mean back to me. I guess I don't mention that enough, but she would give me back what I gave her.
Fuck off.
We used to trash talk each other a lot in video games. We actually made gaming videos together, and you can see her glaring at me and like trash talking me back from time to time. So we had kind of like a, just a friend thing. That was kind of, how you rag on your friends.
Yeah, but you don't purposely call them fucking names on a daily basis like you did.
Anyway, so Sarah.
You don't call your friends a cunt or a bitch or anything like that on a daily basis. I mean, unless the other person is okay with it a lot, you don't do that. Or at least no, not a real person anyway.
Was upset from the rejection from Kai. I was upset that Kai was rejecting Sarah, and so I proposed, what if I date Sarah so she doesn't, her feelings aren't hurt anymore, and as it works out with Sarah, you see if you can work it out too. Like basically build our way. Like you see Sarah in a functional relationship with me, you're comfortable with Sarah too, maybe you can be comfortable with everything, all of us. But I didn't propose this idea until we were trying to get with Kai again, both Sarah and I. We were both pushing to have it be a thing. And man.
So what you're saying is you don't respect your own spouse's feelings? That's kind of sad.
Oh god. So Sarah and I would really, really like try to get Kai to be down with it and propose ideas and say, hey, this could work out because this, and Kai was just like, nope. And then we would just find a way to word things, and we try to get our way in and so forth. And Sarah would talk to me, have conversations about how to get on Kai's good side and how to get Kai to like her, and all these things. And we were basically strategizing how to get Kai to like Sarah. And eventually we got to a point where it seemed comfortable enough to that we kind of like just, I started kissing Kai, and then I would pull Sarah over to start kissing Kai too. And so Kai was no doubt caught off guard or something, and then I would make love to Kai, and Sarah would be intimate too. So it was really just like another. Sarah knew that it wasn't going to work with Kai. I think she figured it out faster than me, because she had communicated it repeatedly to me, but she would still try with me to make it work. And then after we all slept together that last time, it just felt weird after. We were...
No, what should have been weird after was the fact that you had your kids asleep in the same bed as you when you guys did that. So fuck you.
Like, Sarah and I were all about it, but Kai was just weird. It was all weird. And then I proposed to Kai that I just do the dating Sarah thing, and maybe Kai would warm up to it. And Kai eventually agreed to that and said, okay, you guys give it a week. But Kai's theory was that if Sarah was ever really Kai's friend, Sarah would never do this, because Sarah was starting to look like someone trying to steal me away.
So, I don't get you, dude. God, you're making me sick.
There was a point where Sarah was back in Michigan, and she texted me, or I texted her, I said, so when are you going to come up? And Sarah said, why don't you just come visit me? And I was thinking, this is crazy, because, like, why would I visit you?
Why wouldn't you? I mean, if you guys are supposed to be in this like relationship, it's supposed to be. See, I had this problem before, when I was with somebody. My relationship that I had for 5.5 years. I'll probably explain that in another video, but she would only want me to come visit her. She would never come visit me, and I always found that a little strange. So I don't know why it was always on me to come visit her. See, the thing was with me and my ex at the time was she was supposed to come visit me. Like, it was supposed to be me visit her, then her visit me. But every time she would come up with some weird ultimatum, and it'd be like, oh, well, I have to do this for this amount of time. It got weird. I'll explain it in another video, in a future video, but I'll try to get that as much as possible. But the way that he's saying it is like he's being weirded out by the fact that he didn't want to go visit her, which is weird to me.
You're supposed to be with Kai and myself. You're not supposed to just be with me. Not like that. And like Kai has to be somewhere in the picture for this to work, because I can't just date one person and date another person and have my whole life split, be pulled away from my marriage and so forth. It had to be a trinity, a perfect trinity. And it seemed to us that what we were doing was just trying to put in pieces that didn't fit and make something that we had with Billy work with this person, and it just wasn't. It was some abomination. And Kai knew it. I didn't know it. I was drunk on my own idealistic reinvention of Billy. I was like, we could make this work. We can make it could work. And Sarah was eventually just pushing for me, because she had been.
He does realize that the FBI and the detective that's on the case can watch these videos and put their investigation to further on.
Rejected that much. It came to the point where Sarah was allowed to come down, and Kai left. And the agreement was that Sarah and I couldn't do anything like actual sex. We couldn't do the junk to junk. But they didn't say anything about the back end. And I know this sounds crazy, but sometimes the truth sounds crazy. So nothing was said. I said I wouldn't put any junk to junk. I wouldn't actually like go inside anybody, and I wouldn't actually do things with anybody while Kai was away outside, kissing, and couldn't do anything orally either, mouth junk. So when Sarah was here, I proposed that we try junk to rear, and Sarah was immediately down. She immediately indicated, yeah, she'd like to try that. And she said that the guy who had forced himself tried to do that, but it was too clenched for him to successfully do that, so instead he did junk to junk.
See, you don't even understand what the hell you're talking about half the time, so I can't take you seriously.
And you have to include these kinds of things, so you guys understand everything. So the first time was in the shower when I went junk to rear, and we continued to do junk to rear. Sarah had complained that she couldn't go to the bathroom correctly because of junk to rear.
You didn't need to know
and
that.
I apologize for that, but it was the only option, as we had made an agreement. This all sounds highly dysfunctional, I realize it. But you don't really know how dysfunctional things are when you're in the moment. So
He doesn't realize that doing anything sexual is part of that. So I guess in his eyes, it's different.
the thing about Sarah is I've never heard somebody make noises of satisfaction or happiness or whatever as loudly as she had, which had told me that she was holding back whenever we were with Kai, because it was like a howling, like an animal
Dude, we don't need to know that shit. Come on.
just losing their mind, shaking the walls with howling.
Probably faking it because of how tiny you are.
But we were passionate for like 2 days. And it fell apart when she said something that again indicated to me that she was not really interested in Kai at all. And that our relationship had nothing to do with Kai. Because my whole goal was to make a relationship work with Sarah and then have it all come together. Since she was an adult and could make her own decisions, it just seemed like there could be a future in that. I wanted Sarah
Dude, you're 34. Stop acting like a fucking teenager with the freaking...
to not hurt. I wanted her to not feel rejected by us. I wanted to include her. There was a lot of good intentions, but you either die a hero, you live long enough to become a villain.
Fuck
Your
you.
good intentions oftentimes can wind up being very, very ugly if you live life and you tell your story the way it happened, you know? Life is so messy for a lot of people, but anyway, so we enjoyed each other for a little while, and then after the second day of her being here, I abandoned ship. We had like 4 more days of her being here, and I just couldn't do it because of 2 things. One, we went to see the movie Aladdin, the live action, together, and she kept trying to make out with me during the film, and I didn't want to, but she didn't seem to care. And then after the film, she guilt-tripped me.
You keep making it sound like it's Sarah's fault, but you were so into it at the time, so which is it?
For not making out with her. And that really, really turned me off. I was like, this is really weird, because you keep acting like I'm just your solo boyfriend and we're supposed to be talking about Kai, we're supposed to be thinking about Kai and building that relationship with Kai and making things work with Kai, and all you seem to care about is me, and you don't seem to care about Kai at all. And then there was a moment where I would put my hand like this in front of Junk, okay? So Junk couldn't go in, but I'd be on the exterior of Junk to Junk, so my hand was preventing me from going in, but the tip still there.
Whatever.
And she said something that really, really bothered me, because it was like things aren't for sure yet, but we're still gonna risk stuff. She told me to go inside her, like impregnate. Sarah told me to essentially impregnate her when there was a risk of that. And I was thinking, we haven't talked to Kai about this. This is crazy that you didn't consider Kai. So when Sarah told me to impregnate her, or at least do the thing that impregnates people, when I was around Junk to Junk, and when she was trying to make out with me in a theater when I just didn't feel like it, I wanted to watch Aladdin, because it's actually a really good movie. And if anyone hasn't seen Aladdin the live action, I made fun of it, but it's actually really good. I got really disheartened because I realized that she did not care about Kai at all. And that if she cared about Kai...
If you cared about Kai, you would actually let Kai do her speaking as well. Or his speaking, I don't give a shit at this point. You probably really shouldn't care. You don't really care. So...
She would have never asked me to try and impregnate her. And she would have never, thrown a bit... Well, that's the different issue. Throwing a big fit about not making out of theater is a different issue. But that made me uncomfortable. And then she said... It might have been in the other order. But those 2 things made me uncomfortable.
See, you can't even get your time... Excuse me, I'm still kind of sick. You can't even get your fucking timeline straight, dude.
And the one indicated that she didn't care about Kai at all. And then later on, she tried to out Kai for smoking marijuana, even though Kai didn't. According to Kai, Kai was just in the room. But she tried to trash Kai to me to separate us. She tried to split up our marriage. After I had told her that I didn't want to sleep with her and I didn't want to be with her because she had freaked me out with the impregnate me, go inside me thing. So you guys probably didn't hear that story. Kind of key information. She said after I broke up with her after the second day of her being here that I was just trying to be with her physically. Like, all I cared about her was the physical. And I said, if that were true, why did I cut it off a third into you being here? Why didn't I wait till you were going to leave if I was really only interested in doing physical things with you?
Because that's how you are as a person, and that's how you have been with every ex that you've kicked out of your life, as you've explained it so far.
And something else that kind of stood out is just that we kissed out of sync. And some of you guys know that, what that's like. But Kai and I always kiss in sync. And when Sarah and I kissed, it was like, I was like this, and then Sarah was like, it was just weird. We weren't meant to be together. On a genetic level, probably. Anyway, so we had a falling out, and Sarah, I told her that she had RAPED us, ED, yeah. I told her that she did that when we had an argument because I didn't want to be with her. And she said, how? And I said, well, because you forced us to sleep with you because you said you want to sign an NDA unless we did.
That's not... Jesus Christ, dude. She cannot...
And she said, well, sorry for RAPINGU, and then walked off. She came back a little while later, but yeah. So, I'll get you.
But the way that you say it, it's like, oh, well, if they didn't go to the police immediately, then they're the problem. Like, you're saying that just because you didn't go to the police immediately that she's not the problem? I don't get you, dude. I really don't.
I need this story later.
Good lord, it's finally over. Okay, so we're both done. We're done with both of these videos. I will come back to probably tomorrow. It depends on how I'm feeling. Getting another video out. I'll catch you guys later. Let me know what you guys thought about this, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Later, guys.